Peace and blessings. This is the Ravenous Blackbird, and you have reached the Ravenous Blackbird YouTube channel. And if you're a first time viewer, or a second time viewer, or a third time viewer, so forth and so on, and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please, right below this video, on you, if you're watching it on YouTube, it should say subscribe. Please click that button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way, every time I post a video, you will receive a notification to your phone, your app, or to your computer app, however you're viewing my videos, and we will be connected like family and partners. And that way, you stay close knit and up to date on all the videos that I post. Okay. Welcome back to those that are familiar with my videos. You know that I bring truth to you. I do a lot of studying and research on things, on politics, sports, and things before I post the video. That way, because we get a lot of people, I've had a lot of people try to come on here and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, and I welcome all comments. But I want you to understand, if you're a first-time viewer and you think you're going to come into the comments and say you don't know what you're talking about, or you stupid, and you give me a thumbs down, it's cool. If you want to give me a thumbs down, you're still helping my channel. Whether you give me a thumbs up on my video or thumbs down, thank you, because you're still helping my channel. Okay. So anyway, people, we're going to be talking about something serious today. I welcome you. I'm the Ravenous Blackbird, your host, and we're going to be talking about the defunding the police, stupidity or stupid idea, idiocracy, whatever you want to call it. I want to say this as a citizen of the United States of America. Okay, I will always stand behind our police department and the law enforcement and our military. Yes, sir. No, sir. No excuse, sir. Okay, because they are here to protect and serve. Now, yes, I understand that there are bad apples, but when I hear groups, militia groups, or whatever you want to call them, like the Black Lives Matter movement, right, saying that the only gang, I heard one of the I don't know if they were one of the founding members. I was watching the news one day, and either she's a supporting member or founding member, say that the only gang out there is the police department. Really? What about black on black crime? Okay, I don't see Black Lives Matter out there addressing, and it's more black on black crime, or just as much, I would say more, than police brutality. It's just not being talked about, and it's not being addressed, because the solution always starts at home. The solution to the problem with black people always starts in the house, in their community, and that's with any ethnicity, right? So when I heard the Black Lives Matter supporters, or whatever you want to call them, founding members, I can't remember who it was, say that the only gang out there is the police department, and that we need to defund the police, and that people have a lack of respect for our law enforcement and for our military. President Donald Trump wanted to get the military out here into the streets because the so-called protesters, I don't call them protesters, okay, those type, I call them animals. And that's exactly what you are. The ones tearing up our cities, the ones setting stuff on fire, the ones spraying and graffitiing stuff up, right? You didn't see John Lewis and Martin Luther King protest like that. Those were peaceful protesters, and they got things done. They got things accomplished. But these protesters, or animals, or whatever you want to call them, they're not peaceful protesters. Now, some of them, I'm not saying all of them, but the majority of them that just jumped on the bandwagon of the Black Lives Matter movement, and they have no idea what they got themselves in, or even what the Black Lives Matters, what they truly even represent, which is a Marxist group. Go look up Marxism, go look up socialism, go look up communism. They're all in the same boat, okay? And so when I hear the Black Lives Matter movement and so-called protesters, rioters, looters, and these militia groups, I call them thugs, a lot of them, say disrespect the police department, disrespect our military. We don't want the military here. Why would our President Donald Trump send the military? Because of how you're acting. Because you don't know how to protest, because you're acting like animals. And the next thing to being an animal is being a cannibal. right? That means you eat things you shouldn't be eating. You do things you shouldn't be doing. And that's exactly what a lot of these protesters are doing. So, me, okay, and hopefully other viewers out here that are watching this, I come from a military family. My uncle Michael was in the military. My dad was in the military. Okay, his other brother, his other brother was all in the military. I was getting ready to go to the military until a certain ethnic person named Mom said, "No, you're not going." And I was set to go. I had already talked with the recruiter and everything, and I should have went. And that's no disrespect to my mother, but some choices you got to make on your own. So, nevertheless, our law enforcement is super important. If you're talking about defunding the police department and then trying to shrink them down, only a Marxist group would say that, right? Because they don't want anybody policing them. They don't want anybody observing the demonic, idiotic, evil things that they're doing. So what more better way to do? Now we can use George Floyd as an excuse to defund or shrink, because that's what they really mean, is shrink. And I heard many Black Lives Matter movement people say, get rid of the police department. Now, what kind of sense? That's not even sense. It's not common sense. It's idiocracy. It's evil. It's demonic. And it will lead to anarchy. And if you don't know what anarchy would just be chaos. That means the crime rate is already, because of COVID-19 and stuff, crime rate has already went up. So if you think about it, you don't have police out here policing things, right? Because not all police officers are bad, just like not all Black people are thugs, and not all Black people are lazy, and not all Black people are on government assistance, right? Okay, so not all police officers are bad cops. They're not a gang. There are gangs out there. Okay, the Black Lives Matter movement to me is a gang, because they're not controlling their protesters. Their protesters are animals, tearing up stuff, fighting in the streets with the cops, throwing things at them, right? So to get rid of the shrink of police department, they're talking about the police departments all over the world, right? So we're going to use the George Floyd thing as an scapegoat to further push our demonic agenda, Black Lives Matter, and many other militia groups, Antifa, many of these other groups, so they can try to take over. See, and that's what Marxism is, and that's what socialism is. Very similar. It's a government instead controlling, right? Instead of the Black Lives Matter movement not having nobody over them, the government says now we control the citizens. Now, if they don't adhere to our stay-at-home orders, if they don't adhere to this or adhere to that, you won't eat. You won't get anything. You won't get any water. In fact, you want to be able to see your family because you depend on us. It's worse than welfare. It's worse than just flat out government assistance like we've been used to seeing. But a lot of people went and voted for the Democratic Party, and they had no idea what they were voting for, because a lot of us don't do our research and our study. And I'm not saying this to be mean, brothers and sisters, but we have to sit down and go beyond the news and find out what President-elect, that's what they refer to him as, okay, what he believes in, right? The LGBT and all this other stuff. That's what he believes in. He believes in it's okay to abort babies, okay? I'm not going to support anything like that. And I'm not going to support a party that believes it's okay to shrink the police department, to defund them, when we need police to police all the evil and the bad things that's going on. And the bad apples, you deal with the bad apples. That's all. Get the bad apples out the bunch. They're rotten apples. They're rotten apples in the police department. Yes, they're rotten apples in the Black community, selling drugs to one another, sticking up one another, right? But Black Lives Matter don't talk. They too busy picking on the police. And another thing is, Black people, a lot of them, right? They don't want to, how can I say this without trying to offend somebody? The attitude. When a police officer pull you over, since we're talking about defunding the police department and why we need law enforcement, a police officer pulls you over, you want to mouth off at the police officer. Police officer asks you, place your hands on the steering wheel or whatever so I can see them. Why? What I do? And you start mouth. It's that attitude. And then you run from the police. Black man running from the police, he got a gun on him. And then when the police shoot at him because he sees he's going for a gun, or he's going for the police officer's gun, or he's trying to be physical with the police officer, your first instinct is to protect yourself. Now, I'm not saying that every incident that a police officer has done to a black person has been justified. The George Floyd thing was unjustifiable. There was nothing in that caused those police officers for them to give them any authority to go beyond not only harming him, but killing him and doing it like it was nothing. But that's exactly what the black people and people of color are doing in their neighborhoods. Like it's nothing. I'm going to sell dope to another black person. But yet you come down on the police department, trying to defund the police department, trying to shrink them. And I've heard them say, we're trying to get rid of the police department. And a lot of the Democratic Party is right along with that. And so that lets you know who Black Lives Matter is in cahoots with. They're not in cahoots with our President Donald Trump. I'm a Trumper. I'm pro-life. Yes, I am. I'm pro-law enforcement. I'm pro-military. Yes. Let's get to talking about the military. Then you have these protesters or animals disrespecting our military. And they're telling the president and the Democratic mayors and governors telling our president, no, don't send no military to our city. Right? Why? What are you afraid of? You're afraid they're going to do the job that you're supposed to do? Democratic mayors and governors, just like President Donald Trump said, a lot of the Democratic mayors and governors are weak. You let these protesters, these animals, these thugs destroy your city, run your city. And you didn't want President Donald Trump to send any military there. Talking about it'll be worse. It's already worse. They tore up people's stores, people's businesses. COVID-19 caused their businesses to shut down, brothers and sisters. And then you go down there, downtown, or wherever you are in the area that you are, whether in Wisconsin, whether here in Los Angeles, and you tear up a person's business, set it on fire, loot it, bust out the windows, steal everything, and they don't have anything to do with the matter at hand. And they were already trying to stay in business and stay afloat, and then you steal stuff. What would Martin Luther King Jr. say if he saw that? What would John Lewis say? Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, all of those type of people made a difference. And some of you probably don't even know who I just mentioned. Who is Harriet Tubman? Do your studying, do your research, people. I study and do my research. I read my Bible. I just study on Bible. I do study on other religions, on Buddhism and the 5% Nation and Islam. So I know. But a lot of us don't do that. We sit up and watch the news and believe all these anti-Trump news shows. We listen to all these other anti-Trump people, to how bad Donald Trump is. You don't even know a lot of the good that he's done. He is pro-military, and so am I, and he's pro-law enforcement. So I'm going to say this. If you think that it's smart, right, to get rid of the police, and the thing why you want this to happen, Black Lives Matter and other militias and protesters or animals, is so you don't have nobody standing in your way. See, the police stands in your way. That's what it is. When they're out there with their shields and they're just standing their ground, and then you throwing bottles at them, what do you expect the police officer to do? To just let you persecute him and beat him up? He has a family too, right? So why should he stand there and let you beat him up and throw bottles at him and all kind of stuff, bricks and all this other stuff? And then when he shoots gas at you, tear gas, oh, he's wrong. The police brutality. That's exactly what y'all doing, is playing the victim, protesters. I see it, especially here in Los Angeles, where this is where the biggest protesting has happened with the Rodney King thing. So we know about protesters and how bad things can get. The Rodney King thing was wrong. The George Floyd thing was wrong. That was understandable, but it was not justifiable to destroy and blow up things and people's businesses and loot people's businesses that had nothing to do with it. So you want to get rid of the police department, Black Lives Matter, and a lot of the Democratic believers and the far left, because they're standing in your way. That's all it is. That's why the Democrats wanted President Donald Trump out of office, because he was standing in their way. They couldn't go through with further their demonic agenda, because they're so far left. They're for the same-sex marriage, LGBTQ. They're for killing babies, because that's what it is. It's murder. And it's biblical. Yes, it's Bible verse in there. Don't take the life of innocent blood or shed the life of innocent blood. That's in the Bible. So that whoever's doing it, those doctors, they're murderers. The Democratic Party, they're murderers. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I love Joe Biden. I love Kamala Harris. But the agenda, the socialism, okay? President Donald Trump is a capitalist. That's why he's a wealthy businessman. He knows how to generate wealth. Okay? So I'm just telling you, if your agenda is to remove the police department, get rid of our military, come down on our military, that's nothing but anarchy. And you know it, Black Lives Matter, Democrats, you know it, far lefters, you know it, because the police is standing in your way. You know, if you get rid of the police, now you don't have nobody standing in your way to tear down statues. Now you don't have nobody standing in your way to burn up stuff and blow up stuff and tear people's businesses up and loot people's businesses. How stupid can you be to want to shrink the police department and get rid of the police department so the crime rate can go sky high? And your answer is, well, let the community handle it. We can handle it. How's that happening for you? How's that going? With you handling Black Lives Matter, tearing up stuff. That's how you're going to handle it, huh? So listen, this is the Ravenous Blackbird. I think I've said enough about this. I am pro military, pro police, law enforcement, pro life, pro Bible marriage, a man and a woman. No disrespect to homosexuals, no disrespect. That's what you do. That's what you do. But I know how things were created to be. Please feel free to leave comments, click like, click dislike. Let me know what you think, if you agree with me. If you disagree with me, also, please subscribe to my channel. Click the subscribe button right below this video. I love to have you as family. I love to have you as a partner or just as a subscriber. This is the Ravenous Blackbird. Until the next video, be peace and be safe.